We would be honored if you would join us.
What is up, everyone? This is S2S Film Bros' first review, and we have chosen The Phantom Menace. My name is Tyler.
My name's Mike. So what worked in this movie? For me, the visuals were kind of outstanding for 1999. They were groundbreaking, right? We get a lot of CGI, a lot of big scenes. The main courtyard or street there in Coruscant. You get the huge battlefields. You get a lot of world building, which worked for me. Tied up a lot of the story, and sets up pretty much the entire canon, right? What sets the whole Star Wars conflict in motion. And there's a lot of action in this movie. You get multiple combat scenes, a lot of people running around. You got the Gungan fight. You got the Darth Maul fight, which is epic. And then, of course, you have the pod race, which is really exciting. A lot of chaos going on there. And I actually timed the amount of time that the lightsabers were activated. And I want to do this anytime we watch a Star Wars film so we can compare them. Yeah, I missed, I wasn't quite exact, but I got around 8 minutes, which the movie runtime, that gives us about 6% of the film have lightsabers out, which I love. It seems pretty rare, 6%, or like a low number, but I am curious to see how the other movies compare.
It'll definitely be interesting.
Yeah. I want to know, like, are the other movies
when I read that you had timed it
more or less,
and it was only 6% of the film, like it's Star Wars. You think lightsaber, but it's only 6% of the film. Yeah,
it sounds really low. But this one to me seems like they have more fights than the other ones, just off the top of my head. So I'm curious to see how the others compare. So a few things stood out in this movie to me. First one was the pod race. It was huge. Loved it. A lot of high speed chaos. Adrenaline's packed racing scenes. The sound design to me was they knocked it out of the park. From Sebulba's pulsating, whatever that is, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Even Anakin's pod racer sounded almost like a Formula One car.
Mm-hmm.
But it was great. Sebulba with his dirty tricks, throwing the thing out and taking out the other guys. But more importantly, you see Anakin's reflexes, right? You kind of showing his quick thinking skills, showing his force potential kind of early, right? So that was the pod racing. Second part that stood out to me was the duel, right? The duel between Darth Maul and Anakin and Qui-Gon Jinn. I thought it was a very acrobatic fight. They're hopping multi-level up and down the things, and then the pacing with the red barrier things, and also you cut to scenes of the star battle in space. That was an awesome scene, and it was backdropped by probably the best score, in my opinion, in any movie. Duel of the Fates by John Williams really elevates that whole scene. So those were the two standouts for me in that movie.
Absolutely incredible. So what worked for me, pod racing, it lives in my head rent-free. I think about pod racing all the time. I think about pod racing when I'm at work. I think about pod racing when I'm at home. I talk about pod racing with my friends, including Mike here, with my girlfriend, with my family. I still talk about pod racing every day. So yeah, that has stuck with me forever. It's so awesome. The noises that they make, like they sound like F1 cars. Sebulba sounds like a V8 with no exhaust on it. It's absolutely incredible. And I mean, it's just how that was never in another Star Wars movie or some expanded universe show or something is mind blowing to me. The other what worked for me, Darth Maul's character is just legendary. Maybe one of the best villains in Star Wars, and even though he's only on the screen for probably less than 5 minutes total, it sticks with you. You remember him, and that's, I mean, I don't know if you'd say it's good writing because he doesn't say much, but maybe that's the point. He's scary because he doesn't really do anything except for be crazy as soon as you see him. Um, Qui-Gon Jinn, one of the best characters in all Star Wars, in my opinion, just because he was a Jedi, but he didn't let the Jedi Council like totally rule him. He kind of like went a little bit out of bounds. It's also mentioned in the second movie by Count Dooku. He's like, Qui-Gon would have joined with us. But yeah, I think him not bowing down to the council really shows how the Jedi Council was able to get lost and like not realize the Sith was still active right in front of their faces. They didn't even see it. And he could tell something was going on, but they didn't believe him. And that's what, Duel of the Fates. It was the fate of Anakin. Whoever won that fight, that was going to be the difference in Anakin's life and story.
Okay. So what didn't work for me? Some of the dialogue felt really unnatural and forced. Anakin's mom, right? Her concern for her son, it didn't land with me at all. It fell flat. It just, seemed like she was reading off the script. Anakin, don't do that. It
Yeah.
just didn't feel real to me. So,
Mm-hmm.
Queen Amidala was really stiff when she spoke. Now, I don't know if, she's royalty, right? She's she's not Earth royalty. She's Naboo, so it's different from humans. So I don't know if that's kind of how she wanted to do that. It just felt really stiff when she was speaking. So the dialogue for me was kind of something that didn't work. And I didn't like the child actor for Anakin. I know that I liked Anakin. I liked that character, and it's hard to get a child actor to really stand out, without a lot of movie experience. In this case, I think this was his first role. But for me, I didn't really enjoy the actor there. I hate to say that, but that's how I feel. So I did like the visuals, okay, and that was one of the positives. But watching this movie in 2026, the CGI was definitely outdated. There were, some background characters, or that we were talking about the traffic jam in Coruscant flying by. It's in the
Terrible.
background, but it just was terrible. And then I watched the Blu-ray version, which had an animated Yoda, and I hated that. Um, so that didn't work for me. The CGI. And there was a lot of reliance on the CGI in this movie compared to the original trilogy. And, I understand in the 70s, they didn't have many options for CGI, but they used a lot of practical, effects and models and things. And I felt like this movie relied on CGI for every shot. And there was a lot of shots that felt really over green screened. But I understand, they wanted to push that technology, and it's working now for modern movies. So it's just for the time, I feel like they could have went a little bit more practical mixed with the CGI stuff. And then the last thing that didn't work for me was Jar Jar Binks. Why was he in there? The humor was just so awkward. As an adult, I didn't think it was funny. I don't think I thought it was funny when it first came out either. He's an annoying character. And you can cut him out and not really miss anything in this movie.
Okay, so what didn't work for me in the bad stuff, the political stuff? Oh my gosh, it's a snore fest. So it's pivotal to the movie because that's how Palpatine is like working in the shadows, because he's the Senator Palpatine, but he's also Lord Sidious, Darth Sidious. So he's doing both at the same time, and that's how he gets into power in both ways. So yes, you have to have the boring political stuff, but man, it definitely drags on. Other stuff that didn't work for me, the force running for one scene. They can force run out of the situation where the droid decals come and put their energy shields up, and then they're just like, all right, let's get out of here. And then it never happens again. Ever in any film, any expanded universe. That just never could have been useful at a couple of points in this movie. But they didn't do it, just that one scene. And then Jar Jar Binks, everyone knows about Jar Jar Binks. He doesn't bother me as much as most people, because I kind of get at the time 1999 was a weird time, and it was, but it didn't age well. It didn't age well at all. He's mostly a meme character at this point, and that's fine.
This film. So my final thoughts on this film was it fell short of the original trilogy for me, but it captures the necessary world building that I've mentioned like 4 times now, and really planted the seeds for the whole saga. Um, the visuals were ambitious. The sound design was pretty much what you would expect from Star Wars. You got a lot of the original sounds that didn't stray too far away from the original sounds. The actors were solid, with the exception, in my opinion, of Anakin Skywalker. You have Liam Neeson, and geez, I forget
Ewan McGregor. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Obi-Wan
Mhm.
Kenobi.
Of course.
Great actors, and
Yeah.
I think they killed it. Darth Maul, I don't even know who that is, but he killed
Ray
it.
Park. Ray Park.
Ray Park
Yep.
doesn't speak a lot, it's Darth Maul. He's a Sith, but he killed it. At least the action scenes were amazing with them. So overall, I'd say it was a good performance by the actors. I don't fault a child actor as much as I would fault a grown, experienced adult actor. The score was classic. You have a lot of the original motifs that were used in Star Wars, and then of course the Duel of the Fates. Other than the Jar Jar Binks being a horrible choice to even put in there, and some of the awkward humor, I'd give this movie a 3 out of 5. It is good. I recommend it.
All right. But other than that, my closing thoughts on this is it was a great introduction to fan favorite characters, to characters that you love in the old movies and even in the sequels, which I'm not a fan of, but R2D2, C3PO, all that stuff. They're in these movies. They're introduced in these movies. Their origin story is these movies, and obviously it's Anakin's story, so it's awesome if you're a fan of Star Wars. Duel of the Fates is the best lightsaber duel in all of the movies, in my opinion. There's some really good ones, but this one is always the most memorable to me. It's a very flawed movie, but is it worth watching? Absolutely. And I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 based off of pod racing and Darth Maul alone. Those carry it so hard that I can give the score 4 out of 5, which would be a great film. And that's my closing thoughts. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
You were mentioning characters, and I realized I missed C3PO and R2D2 also. They're, like you said, introduced. You see Anakin building C3PO there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no
one ever really thinks about that.
Really
that's
what stood out.
Both of their origin stories are that movie. Yeah.
And I didn't even realize when you said that they don't ever force run ever again in the whole.
Never again.
Any film.
Nope.
That would have helped out in
so many scenarios.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's all we got for this movie. But Mike scored a 3. I scored it a 4. What do you guys think? And what movie would you like us to see? Or what movie would you like us to do next? We're going to start a wheel with some random movies and just pick from there until we've got an audience that wants to pick some movies for us. So if you're watching this, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Peace.